A minimum viable product is the smallest batch of work that you need to deliver in order to elicit a meaningful response from the customer market. That's a bit of a difficult concept to grasp. It doesn't sound like what the name might suggest. When you talk about a minimum viable product, that might imply that it's the minimum usable functionality that an end user would have to have in place in order to be able to get value out of that product. But that's not the case. An MVP, or a minimum viable product, is actually just about eliciting a response. It's about being able to learn something about what the requirements of the product should be. In effect, a minimum viable product, or MVP, is a vehicle for learning lessons. It's a way of being able to engage in validated learning. A minimum viable product might be all smoke and mirrors. There might be very little substance to it. That doesn't really matter. It might just be a throwaway prototype. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can elicit the data that you need in order to make early and cheap course adjustments. The last thing you want to do is to direct further investment along blind alleyways when that investment would be more appropriately directed in a different area. A minimum viable product is closely associated with the lean startup school of thinking, and it's something that we are increasingly going to find in agile ways of working, because the MVP is a good philosophy to have if you want to lean out your value stream. What an MVP does is to minimize costs. It minimizes waste. It makes sure that lessons are learned as early as they possibly can be. In effect, what an MVP does, a minimum viable product, what it does is it allows a team, including its product owner, to test an hypothesis as quickly and as cheaply as possible. If an idea doesn't work out, if that MVP is not validated, then something else can be done. Perhaps the team can use another pattern, such as the pivot pattern, to work on something else. Perhaps a different architecture is required. Perhaps even a different customer is required for that product. But an MVP allows those lessons to be learned the cheapest, the quickest, and the leanest way possible.